A Star Destroyer appears in Earth's orbit, its silhouette casting an ominous shadow over the planet. With its vast arsenal of turbolasers, TIE fighters, and powerful shields, it represents the terrifying might of the Galactic Empire. But Earth is no stranger to warfare. Across the globe, humanity's most advanced military force, the United States military, rallies its jets, submarines, missile systems, and cyber units. This isn't just a clash of firepower, it's a showdown of strategy, technology, and survival. Could modern human ingenuity and coordination overcome an intergalactic titan, or is the Star Destroyer simply unstoppable? Let's find out. This hypothetical showdown pits two vastly different forces against each other. On one side, we have the Galactic Empire's Imperial I-class Star Destroyer, a warship built for dominating space battles. It's bristling with 60 heavy turbolasers, 60 ion cannons, and a complement of 72 TIE fighters. Designed for intergalactic conquest, it boasts powerful deflector shields and an overwhelming ability to rain destruction on its enemies. On the other side, the United States military, the most advanced military force on Earth, brings a staggering array of weapons, including stealth fighters, nuclear submarines, missile defense systems, and advanced electronic warfare. Its forces are trained to fight across air, sea, land, and cyberspace. The battle is set, but both sides face unique constraints that make this battle far more interesting. Earth is surrounded by a rare hyperspace anomaly, a phenomenon that disrupts key Imperial systems. The anomaly scrambles long-range targeting and destabilizes shield efficiency at extended ranges. The Star Destroyer's commander quickly realizes that orbital bombardment, the ship's usual tactic, is no longer an option. To achieve its goal, the Star Destroyer must descend into Earth's atmosphere and engage its targets directly. For Earth, this twist levels the playing field. Without this limitation, the Star Destroyer could sit in orbit, raining destruction from above while staying out of reach of Earth's conventional forces. That wouldn't be a fair fight, and this is all about imagining how modern human warfare stacks up against a sci-fi juggernaut. However, the United States also has some limitations. The USA is the most powerful military on Earth, and its arsenal includes over 6,000 nuclear warheads. Yet, in this scenario, nukes are off the table for two major reasons. The Star Destroyer's likely targets, military bases near cities or vital infrastructure, would leave civilian populations at risk of radioactive contamination, rendering large areas uninhabitable for decades. Second is the uncertainty. The Star Destroyer's deflector shields are an unknown factor. The US leadership isn't willing to gamble its most destructive weapons on a potentially ineffective strategy, especially with Earth's survival at stake. Instead, the US military will rely on its vast array of conventional forces, stealth jets, submarines, missile systems, and electronic warfare to engage the Star Destroyer. Without these constraints, the matchup would be pretty boring. A Star Destroyer could obliterate Earth's defenses from orbit, or the US military could rely on nuclear warheads to wipe it out in one stroke. By introducing these rules, we create a fairer, more balanced battle that explores the strengths, weaknesses, and tactical approaches of both sides. It's not just firepower, it's strategy, innovation, and adaptability that will decide the outcome. Now that the stage is set, let's take a closer look at the US military's and the Star Destroyer's incredible power, and the weaknesses it might have. We begin with the US military. The United States military is a multi-domain force with unparalleled capabilities, designed to project power across the globe and respond to threats on land, in the air, at sea, and even in cyberspace. Its composition reflects decades of investment in cutting-edge technology, strategic mobility, and the ability to operate in diverse environments. With over 1.3 million active duty personnel, the military is structured to deliver overwhelming force wherever it is needed. At the heart of its power is the United States Air Force, the most advanced aerial force on Earth. Its fleet includes stealth aircraft like the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, which combine agility, speed, and radar-evading technology. These jets are equipped with advanced targeting systems and AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles, allowing them to engage enemies at long distances with pinpoint accuracy. Supporting the stealth fighters are heavy bombers like the B-2 Spirit, capable of carrying up to 40,000 pounds of ordnance while flying undetected through enemy defenses. The US Navy complements the Air Force with its global reach and formidable power projection. Central to its fleet are 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, each capable of deploying dozens of aircraft for offensive and defensive missions. Surrounding these carriers are carrier strike groups, which include Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, Ticonderoga-class cruisers, and Virginia-class nuclear submarines. These vessels are equipped with the Aegis combat system, integrating advanced radar, missile tracking, and interception capabilities. The Navy's offensive power comes from its Tomahawk cruise missiles, with a range exceeding 1,000 miles and precision guidance systems capable of striking targets with devastating accuracy. On the ground, the United States Army and Marine Corps bring unmatched versatility and firepower. The backbone of the Army's armored forces is the M1 Abrams tank, renowned for its speed, advanced targeting systems, and thick composite armor. Self-propelled howitzer and HIMARS provide long-range fire support, capable of striking targets up to 190 miles away with precision-guided rockets. The infantry is equipped with state-of-the-art weapons, body armor, and communication systems, ensuring a high degree of mobility and coordination in any combat scenario. The US military also boasts a robust missile defense network. The Patriot Missile Defense System and Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense are designed to intercept incoming threats, whether ballistic missiles or aircraft. These systems can detect, track, and neutralize targets at various altitudes, providing a multi-layered shield over critical assets and infrastructure. The military's technological edge extends into cyberspace and electronic warfare. Cyber Command, Cybercom, and advanced jamming aircraft like the EA-18G Growler enable the US to wage electronic warfare on an unprecedented scale. These capabilities include disrupting enemy communications, jamming targeting systems, and even hacking into adversary networks to disable their operations. The logistics and mobility of the United States military are also unparalleled. The Air Force's fleet of C-130 Hercules and C-17 Globemaster III transport aircraft, along with the Navy's fleet of amphibious assault ships, allow for rapid deployment of troops and equipment anywhere in the world. This strategic mobility ensures that the military can respond to threats across vast distances with speed and efficiency. The versatility of the US military's composition is its greatest strength. With a presence across air, sea, land, and cyberspace, it can adapt to virtually any battlefield. Whether engaging in high-speed aerial combat, launching precision missile strikes, or coordinating ground assaults, the United States military has the tools and expertise to execute complex, multi-domain operations with precision and overwhelming force. This adaptability makes it a formidable opponent for any adversary, even one as technologically advanced as the Galactic Empire's Star Destroyer. While the United States military is a technological and logistical powerhouse, its strengths also give rise to vulnerabilities that could be exploited in an unconventional battle against a Star Destroyer. These weaknesses are not typically liabilities in Earth-based conflicts, but could become critical when facing an opponent with capabilities far beyond anything humanity has encountered. A key weakness lies in the military's dependence on advanced technology and satellite infrastructure. Much of the US military's operational effectiveness relies on a network of GPS satellites and secure communication systems for navigation, targeting, and coordination. These systems are the backbone of precision-guided weapons and global troop movements. However, the Star Destroyer's arsenal includes ion cannons, which have been shown in Star Wars lore to disable electronics and systems across entire fleets. A few well-placed ion cannon strikes could neutralize critical satellites, disrupt GPS signals, or even disable military drones and aircraft, throwing operations into chaos. Without its advanced technology functioning at full capacity, the military would be forced to rely on older, less effective systems, significantly reducing its effectiveness in combat. Another vulnerability is the finite nature of its resources, especially its most advanced weapons. While the US military possesses a staggering arsenal, weapons like Tomahawk cruise missiles, stealth bombers, and precision-guided munitions are expensive and limited in number. A prolonged engagement against the Star Destroyer could strain these reserves, especially if the ship's deflector shields hold up longer than expected. Unlike the Star Destroyer, which carries its vast resources on board, the US military's resupply lines depend on complex logistics that could be disrupted in a large-scale conflict. This logistical dependency could become a critical liability, especially if key supply routes were targeted or disrupted. The sheer scale and durability of the Star Destroyer also present a unique challenge. The US military is accustomed to engaging peer or near-peer adversaries, whose forces are distributed across multiple platforms and targets. However, the Star Destroyer consolidates immense firepower, shield technology, and troop deployments into a single, massive vessel. Standard tactics designed for distributed warfare may prove ineffective against a single behemoth that can absorb vast amounts of damage. Even precision-guided missile strikes or aerial bombardments might struggle to penetrate its shields, forcing the military to expend vast resources just to make a dent. The military's land-based systems, while formidable against traditional threats, would be vulnerable to the Star Destroyer's ability to attack from above. Missile defense systems like Patriot or THAAD are designed to intercept ballistic missiles or aircraft at high altitudes, but they may lack the power to consistently penetrate the Star Destroyer's shields or withstand its turbo-laser barrages. The scale of destruction caused by the Star Destroyer's weapons could overwhelm ground forces, damaging infrastructure and defensive emplacements before they could mount an effective counterattack. Finally, the vulnerability of civilian infrastructure poses a significant challenge. The US military is deeply integrated into its civilian economy and logistical network, and key infrastructure, such as power plants, transportation systems, and communication networks, could become primary targets. The Star Destroyer's ability to deliver devastating strikes from the air could cripple these systems, creating widespread chaos and potentially limiting the military's ability to respond effectively. In summary, the United States military's weaknesses in this hypothetical battle stem from its reliance on advanced technology, logistical complexity, and the unprecedented scale of the threat posed by the Star Destroyer. While these vulnerabilities are not insurmountable, they highlight the unique challenges Earth's most powerful military would face in combating a foe from a galaxy far, far away. We will now explore the strengths and weaknesses of the Star Destroyer. The Imperial Star Destroyer is one of the most fearsome vessels in the Galactic Empire's fleet, a juggernaut designed to subjugate entire star systems. At over 1,600 meters long, it towers over any structure on Earth, dwarfing even the largest aircraft carriers. The ship is equipped with an overwhelming arsenal of weapons, capable of devastating entire planetary surfaces or engaging enemy fleets with equal efficiency. Its firepower starts with its 60 heavy turbo-laser batteries, energy weapons that can obliterate starships with a single blast. In Star Wars lore, these turbo-lasers are capable of vaporizing unshielded targets, delivering the energy equivalent of a small tactical nuke with each shot. In addition to its turbo-lasers, the Star Destroyer is equipped with 60 ion cannons, weapons designed to disrupt electronic systems. In space battles, these cannons are used to disable enemy ships by overloading their systems, rendering them defenseless. The ship also boasts 20 quad laser cannons, primarily for point defense purposes. These smaller but still immensely powerful weapons are used to target starfighters and smaller threats. Against Earth's aircraft, these quad lasers could act as an anti-aircraft system, creating a deadly perimeter around the Star Destroyer and making any direct assault by jets a dangerous proposition. The Star Destroyer is not just a weapons platform, it's a mobile military base. It carries an entire wing of 72 TIE fighters, small and highly maneuverable starfighters used by the Galactic Empire for both offensive and defensive operations. TIE fighters are equipped with laser cannons that, while less powerful than the turbo lasers on the Star Destroyer, are still capable of downing starships or engaging in strafing runs against ground targets. These fighters operate in swarms, overwhelming enemies with their numbers. While they lack shields, their speed and agility make them difficult to target, especially for less advanced aircraft. Alongside the TIE fighters, the Star Destroyer carries a complement of support craft, including shuttles and troop transports, which can deploy ground forces directly into combat zones. Speaking of ground forces, the Star Destroyer is equipped to deploy a sizable army. It can carry over 9,700 stormtroopers, the backbone of the Galactic Empire's infantry forces. These soldiers are trained for a variety of combat scenarios, from urban warfare to planetary invasions. Each stormtrooper is armed with an E-11 blaster rifle, capable of firing energy bolts that can penetrate most standard body armor and deliver lethal force. Alongside the stormtroopers, the Star Destroyer holds several AT-AT all-terrain armored transport. Their sheer size and firepower make them nearly unstoppable in ground combat, requiring concentrated firepower to take down. Ground forces are further supported by AT-STs, smaller and more agile walkers designed for reconnaissance and light combat. These vehicles are armed with laser cannons and grenade launchers, making them effective against infantry and lightly armored vehicles. The Star Destroyer also houses several armored troop carriers and speeder bikes, allowing for rapid deployment of troops and supplies. In addition to its combat capabilities, the Star Destroyer can deploy probe droids for reconnaissance and intelligence gathering, ensuring that its forces have real-time data on enemy positions and movements. Defensively, the Star Destroyer is nearly impenetrable, protected by its deflector shield system. In Star Wars, these shields are capable of absorbing enormous amounts of energy, withstanding sustained fire from other capital ships and even surviving bombardments from planetary defense systems. On Earth, this would render most conventional weapons useless, as the shields would dissipate the energy from missiles, bombs, and artillery before they could reach the ship's hull. In addition to its combat capabilities, the Star Destroyer is equipped with a variety of support systems that enhance its operational effectiveness. It has extensive sensor arrays capable of detecting and tracking enemy movements across vast distances. Its tractor beam projectors can capture and immobilize smaller vessels, making escape nearly impossible for enemy forces. Throughout Star Wars lore, these vessels, while formidable in space battles, have consistently demonstrated key weaknesses that can be exploited by determined and resourceful opponents. One of the most glaring weaknesses of the Star Destroyer is its lack of agility. Designed as a spacefaring battleship, it excels in the vacuum of space, where its massive size and slow maneuverability are less of a disadvantage. However, in the confines of a planetary atmosphere, its enormous bulk becomes a liability. At 1,600 meters in length and weighing over 20 million tons, the Star Destroyer faces significant challenges in atmospheric drag, turbulence, and gravitational pull. These factors would make the ship sluggish and unwieldy, severely limiting its ability to evade precision-guided missiles, coordinated aerial strikes, or sustained artillery barrages. Another critical vulnerability is its reliance on deflector shields. While incredibly powerful, these shields are not invincible. In Star Wars battles, shields have been shown to degrade under sustained fire, particularly when overwhelmed by concentrated attacks from multiple angles. The Rebel Alliance repeatedly exploited this in battles such as the Battle of Endor, where coordinated strikes against Star Destroyer's shields eventually left them exposed to direct hits. Shields are also known to struggle against certain types of kinetic attacks, such as asteroid impact or debris. On Earth, the United States military's arsenal of cruise missiles, hypersonic projectiles, and railgun technology could exploit these weaknesses by delivering repeated, high-impact strikes from various directions. Direct hits to these systems can cause catastrophic failures, as seen in various Star Wars engagements. The command tower, situated prominently atop the Star Destroyer, is another glaring weakness. This structure houses the ship's bridge and key control systems, making it a critical target in any engagement. During the Battle of Endor, Rebel starfighters specifically targeted the command tower of the Executor-class Superstar Destroyer, resulting in its destruction. The tower's elevated position and exposed nature make it a prime target for precision strikes. The Star Destroyer's complement of TIE fighters, while numerous, also presents a weakness. TIE fighters lack shields and heavy armor, making them vulnerable to modern Earth-based fighter jets such as the F-22 Raptor or F-35 Lightning II. Electronic warfare is another area where the Star Destroyer is ill-prepared. While the Galactic Empire's ships are technologically advanced, they are not designed to counter the type of cyber and electronic warfare employed by modern militaries. Star Wars lore has shown that Imperial technology can be jammed or interfered with. Rebel forces routinely use sensor jamming and signal disruption to gain an edge in battles. On Earth, advanced cyber units could hack into Imperial systems, causing chaos or even temporarily disabling critical systems. The ship's ground deployment capabilities, while formidable, also have limitations. AT-ATs and AT-STs are effective on open terrain, but are vulnerable in confined environments or urban warfare. AT-ATs, despite their heavy armor and firepower, have been famously brought down by far less advanced tactics, such as harpoons and tow cables used by rebel snowspeeders during the Battle of Hoth. AT-STs, while more agile, are lightly armored and susceptible to small arms fire or improvised traps, as seen during the Battle of Endor. Finally, the Star Destroyer's design reflects the Galactic Empire's overconfidence and reliance on brute force. This lack of tactical flexibility has been exploited time and again in Star Wars battles. The Empire often underestimated the ingenuity and resourcefulness of its enemies, leading to significant defeats despite its technological and numerical superiority. In conclusion, while the Star Destroyer is an unparalleled symbol of power, its weaknesses, lack of maneuverability, shield limitations, exposed command systems, vulnerable support craft, and susceptibility to electronic warfare make it far from invincible. Now we have explored the capabilities, strengths, and weaknesses of both factions. Let's explore the scenario and find out who would win. It begins with an anomaly. Astronomers and defense satellites detect an unexplained gravitational disturbance near the Moon, followed by a massive vessel emerging from hyperspace above Earth. Its presence is both alien and awe-inspiring, dwarfing anything humanity has ever constructed. Within minutes, global communications are flooded with a broadcast from the Star Destroyer, demanding Earth's surrender in the name of the Galactic Empire. Panic spreads across the globe. Civilians in major cities look to the skies, where the Star Destroyer's silhouette dominates the horizon. Governments scramble to make sense of the situation, but the United States military, as the world's most powerful force, takes immediate action. High-priority alerts activate across the Pentagon, NORAD, and strategic air commands. Missile defense systems are brought online, fleets are mobilized, and airfields roar to life as fighter jets prepare for deployment. The Star Destroyer's arrival is an unmatched psychological blow. Its size alone, a massive 1,600 meters in length, instills fear, and its broadcasted message is deliberately ominous. Amid the panic, American leadership rapidly assesses the situation. Presidentially authorized protocols spring into motion. Early response systems like Aegis missile defenses and ground-based radar tracking are recalibrated to target the colossal vessel. Fighter squadrons are scrambled to patrol the skies, preparing to intercept anything deployed from the ship. Meanwhile, the Navy begins repositioning carrier strike groups to defend coastal cities and critical infrastructure. Despite the initial chaos, the US military's response demonstrates the resilience and preparation of Earth's defenses. Within hours, intelligence networks coordinate global defenses, and a no-fly zone is declared around the Star Destroyer. Satellite imagery feeds continuous data on its movements, while ballistic missile submarines take up positions to counter its potential strikes. The battle is about to begin, and the Star Destroyer's psychological advantage will soon meet the harsh reality of Earth's ingenuity and firepower. As the Star Destroyer looms in the upper atmosphere, its commander shifts focus to establishing aerial dominance. A swarm of 72 TIE fighters pours from the vessel's hangar bays, their iconic screeches piercing through Earth's skies. The fighters descend rapidly, moving in tight, coordinated formations designed to overwhelm enemy defenses. Equipped with twin laser cannons, the TIE fighters are built for speed and maneuverability. But the skies of Earth are unlike any battlefield the Galactic Empire has faced before. The United States Air Force quickly responds. Squadrons of F-22 Raptors and F-35 Lightning IIs launch from airbases across the country, supported by E-3 AWACS aircraft providing long-range radar and battlefield coordination. The first wave of TIE fighters, unshielded and reliant on their agility to evade attacks, suffers catastrophic losses. Earth's missiles are faster, smarter, and capable of striking from far beyond the effective range of the TIE fighters' laser cannons. While the TIE pilots attempt evasive maneuvers, their craft are simply not built to withstand the precision of modern Earth weaponry. Within minutes, dozens of TIE fighters are destroyed, their wreckage raining down into remote areas of the countryside. Realizing the weakness of the TIE fighters against Earth's jets, the Star Destroyer itself enters the fray. Hovering at high altitude, it begins targeting US aircraft with its quad laser cannons and turbolasers, creating a deadly aerial battlefield. The Star Destroyer's deflector shields absorb the missiles and bombs directed at it, protecting its hull while it unleashes devastating volleys into the airspace. Several US planes are destroyed in fiery explosions, forcing the remaining jets to adopt evasive maneuvers. Despite this, the US Air Force's superior technology and tactics begin to turn the tide. Using their stealth capabilities, the F-22s and F-35s evade the Star Destroyer's targeting systems and continue to systematically eliminate TIE fighters. Pilots execute advanced dogfighting maneuvers, exploiting the TIE fighters' lack of shielding and limited firepower. The Star Destroyer's focus on air combat begins to reveal its limitations. The vessel, designed for space engagements, struggles to track the rapid movements of Earth's stealth aircraft. Its massive size and limited maneuverability also make it a vulnerable target for high-altitude bombers. The US deploys its B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, flying at extreme altitudes beyond the reach of the Star Destroyer's point defense systems. These bombers carry precision-guided munitions, targeting the Star Destroyer's quad laser batteries to reduce its ability to engage aerial targets. Coordinated strikes from the B-2 bombers and F-22 Raptors begin to chip away at the Star Destroyer's defenses, forcing it to retreat slightly to avoid further losses. As the battle reaches its climax, the skies are littered with the remains of TIE fighters, their numbers reduced to a handful of scattered survivors. The US Air Force achieves air superiority, having neutralized the Star Destroyer's fighter screen and inflicted damage on its defensive systems. The Star Destroyer, still operational but battered, withdraws to a higher altitude to regroup and prepare for the next phase of the conflict. With its TIE fighters eliminated and aerial supremacy lost, the Star Destroyer shifts its focus to the US Navy, now mobilized along the coasts. Hovering ominously above the ocean, the Imperial warship begins a devastating assault on surface fleets. Its turbolasers, capable of annihilating capital ships in space, rain destruction on destroyers, cruisers, and aircraft carriers. Each blast is a spectacle of raw power, vaporizing entire sections of ships on impact. The US Navy's surface fleet, while powerful by Earth standards, is defenseless against this onslaught. Lacking shields and relying on armor designed for human-scale engagements, the ships stand little chance. Aircraft carriers, the backbone of the US Navy's power projection, become primary targets. Their size and relatively slow movement make them easy to track and destroy. The first carrier strike group, positioned 300 miles from the coast, is obliterated in minutes. Massive turbo laser blasts slice through their decks, igniting fuel stores and ammunition. Secondary explosions rip the ships apart, sending them to the ocean floor. Destroyers and cruisers tasked with defending the carriers are similarly overwhelmed. Their missile systems, designed for aerial threats and conventional naval combat, are no match for the Star Destroyer's firepower. As the surface fleet disintegrates, the submarines become the Navy's last hope. Virginia-class nuclear submarines, armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles, maneuver into firing positions beneath the waves. Stealthy and virtually undetectable, they launch coordinated salvos at the Star Destroyer's shields. Hundreds of missiles streak toward the hovering giant, detonating against its deflector shields in a fiery spectacle visible for miles. The shields hold firm, absorbing the kinetic and explosive energy without any significant damage. The Star Destroyer retaliates with its ion cannons, firing bursts of energy toward the ocean below. These pulses overload electronic systems in the surrounding area, rendering submarine sensors and guidance systems temporarily useless. Several submarines, unable to maintain stealth, are detected by Imperial sensors and targeted with precision turbo laser strikes. Bright flashes of light erupt across the ocean as submarine after submarine is destroyed, leaving only scattered survivors to regroup. As the battle progresses, the Star Destroyer moves closer to shore, targeting coastal bases and infrastructure with ruthless precision. Turbolasers obliterate naval shipyards, radar installations, and command centers, crippling the Navy's ability to coordinate further strikes. The Aegis-equipped destroyers attempt to launch one final barrage of SM-6 missiles, but the Star Destroyer's quad laser cannons intercept them with ease. The shields remain intact, and the Navy's surface fleet is reduced to wreckage. The Empire's overwhelming firepower and superior defenses prove too much for the US Navy. The surface fleet is annihilated, and the submarines are neutralized with devastating precision. The Star Destroyer now turns its attention to Earth's ground forces, deploying stormtroopers and armored walkers for a full-scale ground assault. They march with precision toward the Pentagon, their E-11 blaster rifles at the ready, supported by towering AT-AT walkers and the smaller, more agile AT-STs. The AT-ATs lead the charge, firing heavy laser cannons that carve through buildings and defensive emplacements. Roads are reduced to rubble, and infrastructure collapses under the Imperial onslaught as stormtroopers push forward, systematically neutralizing outlying defenses. The US Army, already mobilized in anticipation of an attack, counters with a defensive ring around the Pentagon. M1 Abrams tanks positioned in strategic locations open fire on the advancing walkers. Their advanced targeting systems lock onto the AT-ATs, aiming for their legs and joints, which are known weak points. Javelin missiles carried by infantry units streak through the air, striking AT-STs and smaller vehicles, detonating with pinpoint precision. However, the AT-AT's heavy armor and deflector shields absorb the first barrage, and they continue their relentless march toward the Pentagon, laying waste to anything in their path. The Empire's ground forces encounter fierce resistance as they enter the city. Apache attack helicopters and A-10 Warthogs roar through the air, strafing AT-ATs with missiles and heavy cannon fire. These agile aircraft exploit the walkers' slow, lumbering movements, circling them and targeting their vulnerable rear armor. However, as the remaining walkers advance, they concentrate their firepower on the aerial attackers, downing several helicopters with precise blasts from their heavy laser cannons. In the urban chaos, stormtroopers clash with US infantry in close quarters combat. The stormtroopers' E-11 blaster rifles, though deadly, are ill-suited for Earth's complex urban terrain. Their rigid formations and lack of adaptability leave them vulnerable to Earth's decentralized and mobile tactics. US troops use the city's streets and buildings to their advantage, setting up ambushes and flanking positions. Drones deployed by the Army relay real-time intelligence, allowing squads to coordinate effectively and exploit gaps in the Imperial assault. The battle intensifies as the Empire's forces reach the Pentagon's outer defenses. Stormtroopers pour into the perimeter, engaging in brutal firefights with entrenched US soldiers. The AT-STs, with their nimble movement and grenade launchers, cause significant damage to infantry and defensive emplacements, but their light armor makes them easy targets for anti-tank weapons and well-placed artillery strikes. Reinforcements arrive in the form of HIMARS rocket systems, which deploy precision-guided missiles to obliterate the advancing AT-ATs. One after another, the walkers fall, collapsing in fiery explosions that shake the battlefield. The tide turns as the Star Destroyer itself intervenes. Hovering above the city, it targets key artillery and tank positions with its turbolasers. This intervention forces US forces to reposition, leaving gaps in their defenses that the Empire's troops attempt to exploit. However, the Star Destroyer's immense size and slow response time limit its ability to provide sustained support. Stormtroopers, while brave and disciplined, are outmatched by the US Army's adaptive tactics and superior coordination. In the chaos of urban combat, they are picked off by precision strikes and overwhelmed by flanking maneuvers. AT-STs, which had been effective in the initial assault, are systematically destroyed by concentrated fire from infantry and drones. The Star Destroyer, still hovering ominously above, is forced to retreat from direct support, its intervention unable to turn the tide on the ground. Despite significant destruction and heavy casualties, the US Army's superior tactics, advanced weaponry, and coordination prevail. The Pentagon remains intact, and the Empire's ground forces are obliterated. The Star Destroyer is now forced to rely on its remaining strengths in a battle that shifts toward its technological systems and defenses. the battle moves into the digital domain. The United States military deploys its cyber warfare units and electronic warfare capabilities to exploit potential weaknesses in the Empire's advanced systems. However, the encounter highlights the profound differences between Earth's computing architecture and the Galactic Empire's technology. The United States operates on a highly interconnected network system, relying on internet-based technologies for communication, coordination, and adaptability. In contrast, the Galactic Empire's technology reflects a decentralized design philosophy. Star Wars systems rely heavily on physical data transfer via ports and data sticks, rather than a global interconnected network. This makes the Star Destroyer inherently resistant to Earth's cyber intrusions, as remote hacking is nearly impossible. Additionally, while the Empire has access to advanced droid technology, its distrust of droid autonomy results in most systems being manually operated, further insulating them from external interference. Despite these challenges, the US military identifies weaknesses in the Star Destroyer's centralized control systems, which are designed for hierarchical command. High-altitude drones equipped with hacking payloads approach the ship's exposed sensor arrays, transmitting malware designed to overload its shield modulation frequencies. For a brief moment, the Star Destroyer's shields flicker, exposing sections of its hull. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, waiting for this opportunity, deliver precision-guided strikes, disabling a turbolaser battery and igniting fires in one hangar. However, the shields quickly regenerate, and the damage is contained. Ultimately, the US military's efforts achieve temporary disruptions, but the Empire's ability to recover quickly and maintain operational integrity prevents Earth from capitalizing on these gains. The Star Destroyer's deflector shields, technological marvels designed to protect against the most advanced energy weapons in the galaxy, are both its greatest strength and its most intriguing vulnerability. In Star Wars lore, these shields can absorb immense energy bursts, such as concentrated turbolaser fire, or even the destructive force of nuclear-scale explosions. However, they are far less effective against localized, high-momentum kinetic impacts, as seen in the Battle of Scarif in Rogue One. The Battle of Scarif demonstrated that these shields struggle against focused kinetic energy. The shield's inability to dissipate such focused force suggests a critical flaw that Earth's forces can exploit. Hundreds of missiles streak toward the Star Destroyer's shields. On land, HIMARS rocket systems and MLRS units fire salvos of precision-guided rockets. Each strike forces the shields to redistribute energy across their vast protective surface, gradually taxing their energy reserves. The shields, however, are designed to counter energy-based weapons. Most of the missile's explosive force is dissipated harmlessly. The dynamic changes when bunker-busting hypersonic missiles are introduced into the attack. Each missile, traveling at speeds of Mach 5, delivers significant kinetic energy. A coordinated strike of hypersonic missiles delivers way less energy than a nuke. However, this energy is kinetic, focused on specific sections of the shields. Unlike the spread-out energy of explosive missiles, the concentrated kinetic force distorts the shield field, creating visible flickers and destabilizing localized areas. For brief moments, the shields fail to dissipate the impacts effectively, exposing small sections of the hull. Seizing this opportunity, B-2 Spirit stealth bombers deploy bunker-busting munitions, each delivering an explosive force directly onto exposed areas. The munitions penetrate the hull, disabling a quad laser battery and damaging a secondary shield emitter. The Star Destroyer's offensive output is temporarily reduced as energy is diverted from weapons to defense. Yet, the Star Destroyer endures, battered but operational, preparing for the next phase of the conflict. With the Star Destroyer's shields weakened but not destroyed, and its ground forces scattered, the United States military realizes that the only chance of victory lies in disabling the massive warship from within. Drawing on intelligence gleaned from captured Imperial data and observations during the battle, US commanders pinpoint the Star Destroyer's reactor core as the critical weak point. However, this requires a near impossible mission: infiltrating the Star Destroyer and planting explosives deep within its heavily fortified interior. The operation begins with a distraction. The US military unleashes a final saturation strike, focusing on areas of the shield that are already flickering. Tomahawk cruise missiles, hypersonic weapons, and drones bombard the Star Destroyer from multiple angles, forcing its defenses to prioritize energy distribution. This leaves a temporary gap in the particle shielding near one of the ship's ventral docking bays. Using a heavily modified stealth helicopter, the operatives approach the exposed docking bay under the cover of radar jamming drones. Using parachutes, the special forces enter the docking bay. The Star Destroyer's interior is a labyrinth of corridors, turbolifts, and reactor conduits, designed to accommodate its crew of tens of thousands. Along the way, they encounter stormtrooper patrols, which they engage with precision weaponry. Reaching the reactor chamber is no small feat. The reactor, a massive cylindrical structure glowing with energy, is located in the ship's deepest section, protected by reinforced blast doors and automated defenses. Inside the reactor room, the operatives plant high-yield thermobaric charges, specifically designed to cause maximum structural damage to the reactor housing. With the charges set and a countdown initiated, the team makes a daring escape. The operatives reach an emergency airlock near the docking bay, where they signal their extraction team. The stealth helicopter, having evaded detection, swoops in to retrieve them just as the charges detonate. The explosion within the reactor is catastrophic. The thermobaric charges destroy the reactor's primary containment systems, triggering a chain reaction that spreads through the ship's power grid. As the operative's helicopter exits the docking bay, the Star Destroyer erupts in a massive fireball. Pieces of the colossal warship rain down over the battlefield, creating shockwaves that are felt miles away. The once dominant symbol of Imperial might is reduced to smouldering debris, scattered across the skies above Washington, D.C. The destruction of the Star Destroyer marks a decisive victory for Earth, achieved through ingenuity, determination, and sacrifice. In assessing the broader matchup, the US military's adaptability explains why it would likely win 6 out of 10 times. The Star Destroyer's immense firepower, shields, and TIE fighter complement give it early dominance, but its dependence on shields and lack of atmospheric maneuverability make it susceptible to Earth's combined arms tactics. However, in 4 out of 10 engagements, the Star Destroyer's overwhelming firepower and shields would hold, leading to catastrophic defeat for Earth. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you would like me to make more in-depth faction versus videos, then please give this video a like, and let me know in the comments. The Galactic Empire versus a Dyson Sphere and the Halo's Flood versus the CIS are 2 ideas I'm currently exploring. Or perhaps I'll pitch Bionicle's Matanui against the Death Star. Again, just let me know what you want. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, may the Force be with you.